Hello everybody and welcome back. Do you like Elon Musk and Tesla? Probably not, right? There's a good chance you don't if you clicked on this video, and you've got good reason to, most likely. Not only is Elon Musk maybe the most unlikable person on Earth, as much as people like to joke about him being an alien, I like to think he's more like a person made in a lab specifically to annoy and upset the entire planet. I think that's a pretty accurate description of the guy. Nonetheless, though, he's extremely successful. Nepotism, coming from a wealthy family, and a certain level of endearing low social skills seems to have gotten him to a pretty high position, and his company, Tesla, is considered one of the most overvalued companies on the stock market, being publicly traded. And if you look at their current numbers on the stock market right now, you can very much see that it has been a series of bubbles inflating and popping over the last few years, and we're currently in one of those bubbles. Tesla has hit an all-time high in the last day or two because of their investment into AI. They are getting in on the AI bubble, and so Tesla is continuing to grow in its overvaluing due to the speculative market on the stock exchange. And on top of that, we're seeing Tesla lose any right to call themselves a legitimate self-driving car company. Self-driving has continued to be one of their biggest selling points, and yet, let's just say they haven't quite sold me on the fact that they can do that and do it well. I don't think Teslas are all that good. In fact, they've been crashing a lot, and apparently the crash data is insane. And that's why I brought up a video here from a channel called Upper Echelon Gamers. Now, if you have watched this channel in the past, you know they're generally kind of like anti-woke and a little bit right-wing in their leans, so I don't know if something has changed recently or if this is going to be an Elon and Tesla defense video or what, but I've been sent this video and recommended it, told I should watch it on stream, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's dive into the real depravity of Elon and the true scamminess and scumminess of Tesla. By the way, if you end up enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like down below. Really does help a lot. Comment down below as well if you want to help boost the video, and subscribe if you want to see more from me in the future. Helps a ton. Without any further ado, let's get right into it.
This video is brought to you by Incogni. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they are providing to the entire Upper Echelon community.
More like
Let me just
Incogni.
dive right into the deep end. Elon Musk is a liar. Sadly, the modern definition of lies often feels like a rapidly moving goalpost. People desperately endeavoring to hand-wave away or explain the lies of their political heroes and their idols. But today I want to use inescapable data to illustrate the point that Tesla robo
Did Upper Echelon Gamers get black-pilled about the right over the last year? Is that what's happened here? Did he realize that all these, like, based right-wing free speech lovers were all just, like, they were all just part of the Trump cult? That's good if he's figured it out. It does sound like he might have.
taxis are an actual safety hazard that should be immediately barred completely from operating on public roads. I want to try and make this as objective as possible, so instead of beginning with all of the anecdotes, of which there are plenty, by the way, I want to start with the statements of Tesla itself, which in no uncertain terms claims that supervised full self-driving, which is precisely what they've now demoed as a ride-hailing service in Austin, Texas, is 7 times safer when it comes to major or minor collisions when compared to a human driver. That is an
One time, I was having some alone time to myself. This was like years ago, but I was having some alone time to myself. So I opened up the hub, alright? And I see, like, on the front page of the hub, I see a video that is very clearly, based on the title and thumbnail, a video of a girl fucking a guy who is driving, or not driving, but sitting in the driver's seat of and not actively controlling, but, like, they're on the highway fucking in a Tesla in the driver's seat while it's driving. And when I saw that video, I straight up, like, I put my dick away and closed incognito mode and, like, had to think about my life for a moment. Because it was like, I saw that and I genuinely thought about, like, contacting the website to be like, hey, you guys should probably do something about this. Because, like, what the fuck? I do not want to find out that a family of 4 were slaughtered on the highway because some dumbass 22-year-old and his girlfriend were recording a Pornhub video in their self-driving Tesla, and it lost control, and the guy was too busy busting a nut to lock in and stop the car from crashing. You could not waterboard that info out of me, Zan? What, that I opened up Pornhub once? Nah. Like, listen, that fucking video, when I saw that, I was like, not only is that dangerous, but that's on the front page. When you went in, like, in incognito mode, front page. So they were pushing that shit, dog. They were pushing it. And I think that needs to be not just illegal, but the kind of thing that if you do it and you post it online, the FBI knocks at your door. Like, hey, we've got video that you posted on the internet of you putting potentially hundreds of people in danger, imminent danger. Like, that needs to be taken seriously, dude. I don't know how anybody ever thought doing that was a good idea. Much less doing that and then posting video of themselves doing it on the internet.
An outlandish claim, but it's not the only one. According to Tesla, when it comes to minor collisions, supervised full self-driving will go an average of 1.5 million miles before a collision happens, whereas a human driver only goes about 230,000. That's where the 7x figure roughly comes from, by the way. If a human gets in a minor crash every 200,000 miles or so, but Tesla Autopilot can go 1.5 million, that would make it loosely, generously, 7 times safer. And I want everyone to keep these numbers in the back of their mind later in the video, because at the end of it all, I want to voice my opinion that this is criminal fraud. First things first, I did a prior video.
I am somewhat aware of how Tesla is fudging these numbers, and it is blatantly dishonest. If I'm not mistaken, it has a lot to do with the way they describe the parameters where self-driving is meant to be used. They primarily intend for it to be used on very well-established, well-traveled roadways without a lot of stops and turns, like the highway. Apparently, Tesla's self-driving is best used on the highway. But at no point should you be taking your hands off the steering wheel and not actively being ready to, like, control the car while it's self-driving. The whole point of the self-driving is that it's an assistant, not that it is, like, taking control. Autopilot, like, sitting back and vibing out while you're just having, like autopiloting the car is not legal. That is not a thing you're allowed to do. The tech isn't there yet. Not even, the law doesn't consider the tech to be there. Stream's really funky on my end. Is that happening for anybody else? Is stream acting funky?
Video about 5 months ago called The Failing Gambit of Tesla. Excellent watch, I'll link it down below. But in that video, I put together a montage of 15 separate times over the span of 10 years where Elon Musk says that full self-driving autonomy, specifically where you do not need a human supervisor at all, is just 1 year away. That's not exaggeration, okay? It's a lot.
He's like that with everything. And the longer you are aware of Elon Musk, the more likely you are with each passing month to start to dislike him, because you start to have been around following him long enough to have seen his promises, more and more and more of them, fail to be met in his set allotted time frame.
Exaggeration is when you claim to catch a 15-pound bass, for example, and it's really just 9 pounds. At least you caught an actual bass in that circumstance. But a lie is when you say, I just caught a live shark, and it was really just a piece of seaweed. One of them is plausibly true, even if deliberately inflated. But the other is a fully cognizant lie, because no version of reality and no possible...
This video is giving me thalassophobia because I'm from Florida, which is a place where if you are holding on to a big, meaty, living fish that's actively struggling in your hands in the water like this, either a fucking alligator or a shark is going to come for it. More than likely a shark. More than likely a bull shark. So, like, watching this video, I'm just like, when's the bull shark gonna emerge and just snap that fish out of this guy's hands?
Mistake or misunderstanding can ever compensate for how egregiously wrong you are and how brutally obvious that deception is to the rest of the world. That is Elon Musk to the very letter. From full self-driving to world record-setting video game accomplishments, he is a liar, whose company is now making a safety claim that is so unbelievably fake, it boggles the mind. And yet these lies routinely serve as a sort of foundation for the underlying value of Tesla stock, which is itself the foundation behind the status of Elon Musk as world's richest man. All in all, it's a house of cards. And
it's all in the stock. Elon's not a very liquid, wealthy guy, if that makes sense. He doesn't have a lot of cash money. In fact, it's a meme that he doesn't have a lot of cash money. He could always, sell out, literally, and just cash in all of his value in SpaceX and Tesla and whatnot, but that's not well, that's not his goal. It's not going to make him more money. And that's kind of pointless when he continues to see like continuous gains on the value of his companies. But it is a bubble. Like the value of Tesla in the stock market, the value per share does not correlate to their economic productivity in the slightest. It's an entirely speculative value.
And it will, someday, come crashing down around him.
Yep,
Let's
it
get
will
to the
pop.
data. Quick overview before the actual numbers. Tesla is trying to make robo-taxis, obviously, and over the second half of 2025, they rolled out the first version of those robo-taxis in Austin, Texas. Thankfully, because of a 2021 standing order by the NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, when a collision occurs, be it minor or major, companies like Tesla or its competitors like Waymo or Zoox, companies operating autonomous vehicles, have to file a crash report. It looks like this, sort of. Some of the fields are different depending on what kind of report they're filing, but the goal is to have, quote, robust oversight over potential safety defects in vehicles operating with ADS and Level 2 ADAS, end quote. So far, so good. But when you're a company like Tesla, making insane safety claims about how your vehicles are 7 times safer than an average driver, the existence of these reporting frameworks become a problem for you, which is why, as of August 2025, there's a new federal probe into Tesla for, quote, repeatedly failing to quickly disclose crashes involving its driver assistance and self-driving systems, end quote. Even still, despite this new federal probe into the company because they're trying to avoid the reporting process, they haven't been able to get away from it entirely, so we do in fact have access to about 6 months of data showcasing, without beating around the bush any further, that Tesla robotaxis are nearly 50 times less safe than what they claim, and those metrics.
And that's not even counting all the cases in which the Teslas end up exploding and just causing a massive fire while sitting parked in the middle of a like a parking lot. Like, we're talking about crashes here in terms of their unsafety, but like, aren't Teslas just known to spontaneously combust while parked from time to time because they have a battery inside of them? And like 1 in a million batteries is a bomb, unfortunately. Like, batteries are kind of dangerous. Modern batteries, like lithium-ion batteries, are all potential bombs. Like, 1 in a million of them will fail and probably explode on you, too. That's the scary thing. It's happened with vapes. All these vapes are powered with lithium-ion batteries, and like a couple times a year, a guy's face gets blown off when they go to hit their vape. And I'm always scared one day I'm going to be that guy. It's similar to shooting guns and knowing that, like, there is a small chance that I end up with a bad round and I pull the trigger of my Glock and my Glock explodes in my face and sends the slide, like, in one cheek and out the other, if I'm lucky. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, 1 in a million type deal.
Metrics appear true, in spite of the fact that there's a human driver in the car with a kill switch trying to make sure it doesn't crash. Let me just reiterate that for the Elon fans out there. Even with a human safety expert in the car whose only job is to stop the car from getting into a collision, robotaxis are almost 50 times more prone to collision accidents compared to what Tesla claims to its investors, shareholders, and fans. At a certain point, it's not exaggeration anymore, it's lies. Going on a bit of a tangent, pretty much every single major technology company is now a data company, and your personal information is the product. Incognito, today's video.
God damn it. Listen, sponsors, get your bag. But also, we're not watching the sponsor segment. Sorry. He doesn't get paid if I watch it.
The channel. Back on task. And now for the actual proof of the situation. This is what the data in totality looks like after being compiled by the NHTSA into a spreadsheet. I've truncated some of the empty columns for the sake of space, but the key things that we get to see are company, obviously, date, location, and something called narrative, as in a description of what actually happened. The colors may seem strange, but let me explain that too. Anything in gray isn't relevant for today because it's either A, outside the window of time where I had the necessary comparable stats from the companies involved to do a proper analysis, or B, because it's just not relevant. Wrong city, wrong company, etc., etc. Anything blue, or bright green as well, is a crash reported by Waymo, and anything bright yellow is a collision reported by Tesla. All of these highlighted reports are from Austin, Texas, and all of them take place between June and November of 2025. Now for something extremely critical. We don't know how many of these incidents overall are the direct responsibility of the software itself, but we should know that. When these companies make a report, they're supposed to submit what's called narrative, which is a description of what actually happened. As an example, here's an incident report from Waymo, line 34, where a bus literally just backed up into it. The Waymo car was completely stationary at the time. It's a collision, sure, but it's not really the fault of the software, is it? Here's another.
Okay, so it does include, like, parked, non-driving crashes or disasters. I was assuming it was just going to be car crashes. Like, while the car is driving, it gets into some kind of crash. Okay. All right, that's not... Whatever kind of fraud's going on, then, must be a little less overt than that. Just outright omitting half, if not more, of the Tesla failures that could happen.
Another one, line 62, where the Waymo was going through a green light and an SUV making an unprotected turn swerved right into it. If you took most of these cases to an insurance agency, for example, it would be an extremely simple outcome. The other driver was at fault. However, Tesla is the only company that refuses to submit a description of what happened. They redact all of those narrative sections and deliberately never clarify who is at fault. I see no other possible explanation for this except that Tesla is at fault, because that's not even the only thing that they refuse to say. In these reports, you can also see that Tesla says things like, quote, other, see narrative, under certain sections, even though they damn well know that they also redacted the narrative, which means that Tesla is quite literally the only company selectively choosing what to put in and what to leave out on these forms, thereby deliberately rendering them incomplete. Every other company does it properly.
Okay, so this is literally like, we investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing type shit. Okay. Yeah, it's about what I expect from Tesla. Like, Tesla fans as well are some of the most gullible people on the planet. They think they're so smart that they never consider the possibility that someone would even try to pull the wool over their eyes and get one over on them. And so something like this would look so legit to them, they would never look deeper than this. They would just be like, ah, yes, my king Elon, he's got all the receipts.
Even still, let's be as generous as possible, as favorable as it can possibly get on the side of Tesla. And let's assume that all of these reports from every single company, every single time, are the fault of the car. Then what? Then we have to do math. From June to November of 2025, comparing Tesla to Waymo and to itself, because let's not forget these incredible claims on the Tesla website, and let's also not forget that they explicitly say, quote, your likelihood of being in a collision goes down, not your likelihood of causing one, your likelihood of simply being in one, which is why I would speculate that Tesla is withholding narrative submissions because they're causing the collisions. But if you...
Wait. Imagine, by the way, imagine the reason why you're less likely to be in a collision while in a Tesla is because they don't do per capita on their data. It's like, well, you see, a very small percentage of car crashes per year are in Teslas, which would suggest that you're far less likely to get into a car crash driving a Tesla. When in reality, it's because Teslas are a fraction of the cars on the road. Imagine they just didn't adjust their data for per capita, and they just report on that. That would be really shameless. I don't know if even Elon is that shameless, but maybe. I could be wrong.
You only go by the numbers and their own precise corporate claims. Tesla has had 8 collisions from June to November during their pilot program in Austin. Comparatively, Waymo has actually had 35. And even if we know from descriptions they give that half of those collisions were shit like a deep pothole in the road where the undercarriage of the car made contact with the pavement and then tripped the system, even if we know that because they fill out the forms correctly, let's assume all of them are minor collisions by fault of the vehicle. Now what? Now we need time frame and we need scale. June to November, Waymo and Tesla. For Tesla, that's actually very easy. We have an earnings call transcript where they openly state that during the comparable time frame, robo-taxis in the pilot program drove 0.25 million miles, as in 250,000. But for Waymo, it gets a little bit harder. We know that Waymo launched in Austin early March, and we also know that they expanded their operations heavily in July. We also have stats in total indicating that they've traveled 6.337 million miles in their Austin program. So once again, being as generous as possible in favor of Tesla, let's overshoot dramatically and subtract March, April, May, and December all as if they were equal portions of the total. We're talking about roughly 10 months of data, 4 months taken away, therefore 60% of the 6.33 million, 6.337 million actually, aka in the end 3.8 million, which is a dramatic undervaluation because they massively expanded their operations in July. March, April, and May are likely far smaller. Still, who cares? We're Tesla fanboys over here, so let's assume everything is Waymo's fault, and that they only had 3.8 million miles in the same time frame. Now what? Now we have to do the actual comparison because 8 collisions in 250,000 miles for Tesla comes out to 1 collision per 31,000 miles, and 35 collisions for Waymo, compared against their 3.8 million total, is over 108,000. By the metrics that we have, the actual data submitted by these companies being as forgiving as possible to Tesla, while also understanding that Tesla has a human safety operator.
Don't tell me I was right. Don't tell me I was right that they're actually fudging the numbers by not accounting for per capita
In the car at all times, specifically to prevent accidents, which Waymo doesn't have. In a comparable time frame, Waymo is well over 3 times as unlikely to have any sort of collisions.
There's no fucking way they're being that shameless with the numbers. There's no way. I threw that idea out there as like an out there, over the top possibility. Like, imagine if they were that shameless, am I right, guys? There's no goddamn way. There's no shot. Dude, I'm happy to see someone who I feel like 4 years ago would have been on Elon's dick, like genital warts, is currently calling his shit out. The spell is breaking.
But wait, because that's not what actually matters in the slightest. What matters is Tesla's own statements. I don't want to make this a comparison between one company or the other because people will come out of the woodwork and scream, "You must have investments in Waymo, you're a shill." I want this to be a comparison of one company to themselves. Lies to reality. Conman garbage and fanboy idiocy to cold hard facts. Remember, according to them, their vehicles, when supervised, have 7 times fewer minor collisions compared to human drivers, while human drivers go an average of 229,000 miles before a minor incident. Let's run those stats again, all right? Tesla has something like 29 robotaxis operating in Austin as per this time frame, achieving 250,000 miles in total as per their own statements to investors, and they've had 8 separate minor collisions, which they refuse to describe at all, despite safety officers being there in the vehicle at all times, which means 31,250 miles on average per accident. That makes Tesla 8 times less safe compared to the US average that they have on their own website, and 48 times less safe compared to what they themselves claim.
What's funny is I've heard these exact numbers before, so this isn't even new. Like, this has been known for a while. Like, Tesla is extremely overvalued. They don't move the kind of volume necessary for their stock value to be justified, nor for their stock, like, not just the value they currently hold or have held in the past, but the amount that it's constantly going up. Like, even while Tesla factories are, like, locked down and they've frozen production, Tesla stock value will go up. Because it has absolutely no correlation whatsoever with the actual performance of the company. It's entirely, like, people treat Tesla stock like people treat crypto. And that's where Elon's value comes from. That's why he can be so fucking wealthy, while also not having much in the way of liquid wealth.
And the kicker is that even with a person sitting there with a kill switch pointedly trained to stop the car from having collisions, this shit is still 8 times worse than their own supposed human average. Make no mistake, this doesn't make full self-driving 7 times safer than a human. It makes full self-driving 8 times worse than a human, despite a human who's only there to try and stop the mistakes. Like, it's 8 times worse while thwarting a human who's trying to make it better. That's
a bad look.
Insane. What do we think the ratio is going to be when they take that human out of the car? Because if it's 8 times worse now and 48 times worse in total compared to what they're saying at the moment, where do we think that number goes when the human backstop, who isn't even capable of making the shit technology perform even remotely as safe as a normal human to begin with, gets taken out of the equation? And before people say, oh, well, they're not going to do that till it's ready. No. They're literally testing it right now. I don't want to rehash everything, so let me just
no one in the car.
This. Maybe the technology gets there someday.
Oh.
Maybe all the Teslas become super convenient automated taxis with 0 crashes and perfect safety.
Dude, when I see okay, I'm not gonna lie. When I'm walking to go get, like, food from the store or something, and I'm about to cross the street and I see a Tesla coming, I will straight up stand there and wait for them to pass. Even if they come to a stop and are like, go ahead, I'll be like, nope, go. Because I don't know if, like, the Tesla's autopilot is just going to decide to start barreling at, like, 0 to 60 straight through me from a dead stop. You know what I mean? Those electric cars can accelerate at ridiculous speed, by the way. It's not like a gas car where if they go from, like, 0 to anything in, like, 10 feet, it's not going to get up to a fast enough speed to kill you by a long shot. But with an electric car, if they've got, like, 5 to 10 feet to accelerate, man, that shit might kill you. I'm scared of those, like, of those electric cars that are also self-driving. I worry about that stuff.
But that's not what they are right now. What they are right now is a massively unsafe addition to the roads, far worse than average people, while the company responsible for making and selling them is just openly lying to the world. The stats that Tesla is giving aren't just fabricated, they're flatly insane. And at the very same time, they're purposefully circumventing the safety protocols and the reporting process that the NHTSA implemented to stop rapidly developing autonomous vehicles from endangering public people, public roads, or everyday citizens. At the very least, after watching this video, I don't care who you are, everyone should be able to agree that unless they start filing collision reports properly, right, put all the information in there, instead of delaying and hiding what actually happened, unless they can do that very basic minimum, they should be completely barred from operation. Heavy sanctions.
What's crazy is, like, you can't even opt out of this. The Teslas are causing other people to crash into Teslas due to their erratic driving. And that means that you can't opt out of it. It's just you are on the road with these things now. And dumbasses are going to let Jesus take the wheel. You know, and you're going to have to just account for, in your defensive driving strategy, you're going to have to account for there being autopilot cars on the road.
Rip them off the roads and disallow them from doing any more public testing. But even if they do stop hiding, let's say they start actually telling the truth and abiding by the safety laws, unless they stop lying to the public about their shit-ass cars being 50 times safer than they actually are, they should be full-scale shut down as a corporate fraud.
Ooh,
that's what we used to do when a company said, our thing is super safe, and then it was actually super fucking dangerous. We used to call that corporate fraud, and we used to prosecute people like that and lock them up. But nowadays, apparently, crime is legal. That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below the video.
We did elect a felon, didn't we? And the left tried to warn America what would happen if we let Trump take power, that it would be all... that we would basically be handing the country to the most greedy, powerful, power consolidating motherfuckers out there, and that is the last thing we want. We would be handing a monopoly to ourselves, just giving ourselves the L at that point. And yet we still elected Donald Trump and his party across the board. Now for the next 2 years, or for the next year now, because midterms are coming up, and for the next 3 years, we've got little recourse outside of elections to stop this. So, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? You know, shoulda kept him out of power. Coulda voted him out. Woulda done so if you could go back in time and recast your vote, huh? Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way whatsoever, then leave a like and a comment down below. It really does help a lot. In fact, if you don't know what to say, comment Rod to let me know that you watched all the way to the end. It really does help. It's a little code word, and it boosts the video, so thank you. And don't forget to subscribe and join the fan Discord, link down below in the description if you haven't already. It's the main hub of my community and fan base, so if you want to vibe out with me and be a part of things like watch parties and movie nights and stuff like that, make sure you join. That said, though, thank you for watching, and have a good one.